as you already know, I'm running for school board, and I'm going to lay out a little bit of about me a little bit that you haven't heard yet. And the thing that I really liked about all of the speakers is that and of course, Christina, thank you so much. But when I think about all of those speakers, I think about they've all been in the district and at several levels, right, of the district. They're all around education, empowering people, bringing people up. And that's just kind of the law of proximity, right? Like, who you are around is who you are. And when I think about that, my favorite word is empowerment. And I love empowering people. And that has been like my whole life. I've also learned that knowledge, they say that knowledge is power, and I'm sure we've all heard that. But really, it's potential power. Applied knowledge is kinetic power. And that's where we really create change in what we do, right? And so all of the things that have been talked about me, going through all of these leadership programs, working for the Department of Education, where, as Kishan said, I worked in the executive office and I was a clerical worker. I answered the phones, but I did learn a little bit about every aspect of education because we got calls from all over the state about that. And as a result, I've since then been able to dig down into various programs where today, every day, I get to defend the rights of students to get a meaningful and relevant education. And that's a privilege to be able to do that for students and families that feel like their rights have been violated, And sometimes, it's true, their rights have been violated, and we get to rectify that, we get to make them whole. In other cases, they haven't. But during that time, it's important to make that an experience where they can learn about their rights and move forward together, right? And we can all work together to make education better. That's the kind of attitude, that's the kind of perspective, that's the kind of approach that I want to take onto the school board. The school board has been doing some great things as I've monitored what's going on and keeping up with everything that's happening. I've never taken my eye off of the district because it's my home district. I got so much from this district coming up through the public school system. And it's just something that has been ingrained in me forever. Every year I go back and I volunteer at different high schools to do the FAFSA, filling out the FAFSA for our students and how they can get financial aid, because I don't want money to be a barrier to their financial, to their approaching higher education or going into their career field or just becoming a strong contributing member to society. I also try to speak in as many events and attend these youth conferences because I want to empower students. Because what I do know is that when a student has that belief, that confidence, they can get through a lot. And what we're going through right now are 4 major crises: a health pandemic, an economic crisis, the racial uprising, as well as an infodemic. And it was noted earlier that, we're competing, my campaign is competing with a lot of other information right now. So what we're dealing with is that for this election, we have a voter universe of 160,000 registered voters in the district. 90,000 of them show up during these presidential elections, so they vote every year. I have a goal of trying to get 55,000 votes. I have to reach out to that many people. And that's where your funding will go, right? It's gonna go to implement our outreach plan. That's where your sweat equity, your volunteer hours are gonna go to put into our outreach plan and get those 55,000 votes. I'm not asking you for these resources or your time and your money for me. I'm asking for these resources for all of the students in Elk Grove Unified, for the community that Elk Grove Unified resides in, and really for the state and the country that we're all a part of. Because I do believe that this effort, this challenge is something that we can overcome, that we can get through, right? So whether it's a student in a mainstream classroom, a special education student, maybe it's a student in a gifted and talented education program, a homeless student, a student in the foster system, every one of those students deserves to achieve their fullest potential. And I am committed and I will be consistent in fighting for that. I will always ask that question of, who are we missing? Because we can't leave anyone behind. Everyone needs to feel included and that they belong. So even in my, whether it's professionally or personally and in the community work that I do, it's really grounded in making sure that people are able to live a wonderful, thriving life, that they get to enjoy the fruits of, economic justice, social justice, political justice, and that it's really something that everyone can achieve, that none of these labels that get placed on us end up affecting our determinant in life and where we end up, right? I want everyone to have that chance and that opportunity. So in the short term, right, my goals are definitely to work on making sure that distance learning is equitable. That means getting the equipment out there, making sure that the people are connected, and really trying to make sure that we're taking care of that. At the same time, let's get students back into schools, because some students are more vulnerable during this time, right? Our younger students, socialization is so important to their learning. And I was able to make sure that we are trying to do that, right, as we navigate this health crisis right now. We're engaging in testing. We're trying to make sure that we have up-to-the-minute information so that when folks get tested, or when we do open up schools and the state offers those waivers and things, that we can react and we can pivot appropriately to keep everyone safe. At the same time, during this election, I am also a big proponent for Prop 15. We need to bring funding into schools to pay for these things, right? And what Prop 15 does for Elk Grove Unified in particular is that it's expected to bring in $38 million to the district every year. What could we do with $38 million for all of those students that I named earlier? The mainstream student, the special ed student, the gifted student, right? All of those students that could use these materials and these resources. Socio-emotional learning, we're all going through this pandemic right now. We're all undergoing an extra level of pressure. And so when it comes to mental health services and taking care of people, I want to definitely center care. I want to center the provision of wellness into the, and the district already does this, but how can we enhance it? How can we tweak it, especially for this time? Because this time is extra on top of the bullying that students are already facing, the pressure to academically succeed, the pressures of home, the pressures of their friends, the pressure of social media, of the internet, and just this achievement kind of culture that we have now, right? So all of that needs to happen. In the medium term, I talked about empowering people, and I really want to make sure that parents and families and caring adults know what their rights are under the parent improvement laws, getting them involved in the different school site councils, advisory committees, school and district level, and just making sure that they know how to get plugged in and how to influence where that funding's coming in. They can influence how that funding is being spent at their school. In the long term, of course, it is about equity, and it's fully about making sure that we get rid of these barriers. So at the Department of Education, I served on the Government Alliance on Race and Equity, where I learned a few tools, and I really want to improve upon and enhance the equity plan that Elk Grove District has already courageously put forward and that they're going to do. I want to enhance our understanding of targeted universalism, where our universal goals, yes, they're universal, but we have to do targeted efforts in order to help others achieve where they want to go. We can't give everyone the same size pair of shoes. We have to give them the right pair of shoes for their foot size and where they're coming from, and the strengths and the challenges that they bring to the table. So we're going to bring them, that as we work and we seek to achieve equity. All of that being said, I'm incredibly proud to be in this position, and I've gotten here because so many people poured into me. Mr. Piper was mentioned, and he had this great quote that he used to say, God bless America. And only in America could all of this happen, where an only child born to a single parent, raised by that single parent, single mom and that grandmother, could grow up in not considered the best area of town, and overcome challenges to really feel truly blessed and amazed and able to serve others in a way that's fully just fulfilling. And that's the commitment that I want to bring. That's the opportunity I want to bring to others in the district. That's what I want to bring to others in my life. And I need your help to do that. So I just want to thank you again for all of your support that you've already given me, all the support that you're giving me today, and all of the support that you'll give me moving forward. Between now and November 3rd, we have less than 50 days to get the job done. But now is definitely the time that we can search for it in this race, that we can search for it and bring the best of what Sacramento, what South Sacramento and what the Elk Grove District has, and bring it the best to our students, our families, and our communities. Thank you so much.